Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Goat's Gravy. Excited to have Demetri Morris with us today. Executive producer. He's our partner in crime with creating The Goat's Gravy. He is our tech guru, although not really this morning.
It's all right.
But we're getting there. But anyways, excited to have you back. And Demetri, you got a lot of exciting things happening in your world. He stepped away from Goats for a little bit because he's been in creative mode. Created a new app called Quota. We're going to get into that, powered by AI. He's got a lot of opinions on AI, and we're going to get kind of his feedback on his early adoption. But first, we're going to go backwards into how Demetri became an entrepreneur. So, D, take it away.
Let's go. I am so excited to be here. Scott, Billy, you guys are awesome. Okay. Let's go back. I mean, really,
Thanks for the compliment.
it starts in Naperville, Illinois. So that's where I'm from. That's actually how I met Billy. I think Scott, did we all lead a small group together? Is that right?
We did.
Yeah.
We did lead a small
Scott
group
was there
of
because
junior.
of witness protection. We made it work.
I was just trying to have some fun with it, D.
But early on, at least let's talk about the exposure to entrepreneurship. First time I was ever in a leadership position of any kind where, you had to put the creative juices on and make it happen was an organization called Food Fight, which started through Community Christian Church in Naperville, which was essentially focused on helping end world hunger. And so high school students, they would assemble teams throughout, District 203 and District 204, where the goal is to just raise money. And so as a result, came time, I was finally a junior and senior, and I had been involved for all my high school years, and we needed to raise money. And so put together a team, and from there, we essentially raised $10,000 for a benefit concert. And I think that is the start, along with, there's a gentleman named Bobby Klinkert who organized essentially a band where we'd go to different summer camps and lead the worship and the music essentially for the students that were there. And so out of that, we realized we have our own production equipment. So we were hauling a trailer with lighting, trussing, speakers, sound system, the whole 9 yards. And we were acquiring all these things because the venues that we'd go to would have bad stuff, so we'd want to make it better. And we ended up creating a production company called Go Forth Productions, which the band name was Go Forth. And then from there, we were doing weddings, events, the whole thing. And I'm essentially in high school doing this, and taking on different jobs. And that kind of was my first exposure. And then from there,
and by the way, he was awesome on the bass. So we'd go to slapping the bass, man. He did a lot of that. We saw him from stage. We'd be jamming with Demetri. That was really fun. So good job.
Thank you. And I think, it definitely starts with. You go.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
I just wondered, did you ever think was that the kind of precipice that you were going to be an entrepreneur for the next phase? Did you get kind of addicted to it early?
I think for what it's worth, I wanted to feel empowered, right? And I think when you get a little taste of what it's like to do something impactful, like you kind of want to do it again. And so for me, it wasn't necessarily a matter of wanting to be an entrepreneur, but it was just knowing I wanted to create stuff, like be a part of big moments and exciting things. And I remember even the benefit concert, which obviously we can go macro and talk about more and what I'm doing now. But I remember crying after we counted up all the money because we had just raised $10,000. That was one of the bigger fundraising events that Food Fight had done at that time. And so it was like, let's go. And so I think chasing after that, and then organically, stuff just started to come together with freelancing, and then finally moving into having my own business after college.
So Demetri, what was it that was the tipping point where you said, okay, because at one point you did some corporate internships, you're looking into different opportunities as you're getting ready to graduate. What was it that drove you toward, you know what, I'm just going to start my own thing and run with it?
Well, it was the summer that I'd connected with a mentor. His name is John Ross. Um, Funnily enough, found him through church. He was the video, one of the people that was manning the cameras for the live stream, and he would, tell which cameras, which one's up next. Anyways, that person, him and I connected, and lo and behold, he was a Emmy nominated producer and worked on some really exciting projects. And he saw my drive and curiosity, and that first summer of meeting him, we ended up launching a TV pilot. We raised some money. We got connected with US Foods, and we produced a TV pilot. But he did not do anything. He threw it on me to figure out all of it. And so that meant handling the crew, the branding, the post production, pre production, like everything. He kind of leaned on me to put it together for one of his clients. And so um, at the end of that, that's when I realized, oh wait, like that was that's like not easy to do. Like I could do this for other people. And that is the same time when I started to get interested in doing the same thing, producing video. I didn't even have a camera, and I ended up knowing somebody again from church. It's cool that church connects to all this, but he had a tennis brand and he needed a promotional video for his tennis company. And I said, well, I could do it for you. And we agreed on a budget. And at that point, I did not have a camera, but I knew a buddy that had a camera, and ended up hiring him. And then, we split the profit. And then that started the freelancing um, career and took on different projects. Had an internship at the time with Bob Klinker, and then the following summer worked with you, Billy, at Exo Bionics, and then um, yeah, 2019 to 2020 was like interesting because again, I'm a senior in college. It's like, okay, what am I going to do next? And in my head, it's like, okay, it's either go all in on um, the freelance stuff or go get a job. And so come graduation, which was right in the middle of COVID, didn't get to walk across the stage. That's when I was faced with the opportunity to figure out what's next. And so my grandfather, Jesse Morris, shout out, he's still alive, um, sat me down after I finished my last final
Jesse.
exam, which is I passed with the like a C minus, just enough to get through that course. It was a really
Oh, I
hard
know,
class.
dude. I know. Trust me.
It
I would
was
love
it
my
was
C minuses.
I finished it, and it was just like a sigh of relief. Um, but following that week, we sat down and he said, "Hey, you got some decisions to make. I have always saved a pot of money for you to go get your master's degree." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I don't like school." So, uh, and in my head, I'd already been thinking about the freelance thing. Again, I'm at home. It's COVID, so it's like, what could I do? I went back to him and asked, "What if you were to support me in launching a business?" It was a long pause, and he said, "You know what? All right, tell me what you need." And from that point, I ordered, several thousands of dollars of camera equipment and basically got everything I needed to start actually running the business. I invested all my savings into a coaching program. And then things started to pick up organically from there, which was sweet. And so, um,
That's awesome.
that's,
So
that's the,
D, I
that's
got
the
a
start of
question
it.
for you. I got a quick question for you. In corporate America, and I'm sure Billy can attest to this, we like to say, own your business, be the CEO of your business. Whether you're a startup, working with your own money, or whether you're corporate America, what are some of the mistakes that our younger listeners can learn from, whether they're starting their own company or maybe they're an intern for the first time, or maybe like Billy's kids and my kids are starting their first jobs? But what are some of the lessons learned? Again, I think it's less about whether you're starting your own company or in corporate, but what can you share?
Yeah, I think, I think part of my early success would just be in understanding specific principles, right? And so, learning how to build judgment and seek out the insight, right? It's not like I had all the answers to everything. Like I genuinely have been clueless at times during this journey, and I've had to humble myself. And so, um, I think for the listener that's really trying to figure out how can I actually like dig in and be different. I mean, it's learning how to make decisions, like knowing why something works, and then like sequencing how it should be applied, like understanding the art of strategy and like decisions, right? And so like again, there's a reason why you and Billy are in leadership positions, right? You're not paid to do the work. You're paid to make very large decisions that have insane implications on, maybe hundreds of people in your organization, right? Uh, and so I think the ability to either get behind somebody that's making those decisions and kind of just like observe, or to put yourself in positions where you've kind of have to fight or flight essentially, right? And then to be able to do so in a manner that's disciplined and dignifying, right? Like you can't just give up, right? You have to press forward regardless. So
And Billy, what I'm hearing, I'd love your take on this. The translation I just heard him say: one, you got to be a grinder, right? I don't think in the advent and the age of AI, I don't think that's going to change. In fact, I think you might have to be more of a grinder in this age. And then, just kind of being your own boss. But based on what D's saying, a student of the game is also what just heard him say, right? And again, I'll go back to AI again. No longer the days you just grind and you can find success. I just don't think that is real at this point, based on what AI is doing to disrupt all of us. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
you definitely are going to have to lean in and lead forward with that. But going back to Demetri, specifically to your point, that's one of the things I was always so impressed by, is he just was very proactive with being resourceful.
Yeah.
So he'd reach out, he'd want to share an idea, he'd want to get my 2 cents, constantly reaching out to grab coffee when he was back in town. Again, just working on networking, getting advice from, a lot of different people he'd interact with. And then ultimately he'd take a little bit of these conversations and decide what he thought he would apply to work for himself. And I think that's led you very well as an entrepreneur. And I'll give you one example. It's hilarious. So he created a digital marketing or social marketing kind of media campaign for a company we were with as an intern. And I think we flew out to San Francisco together. And I think one of your first business trips, and we had a blast. We went and did a bunch of meetings. I basically threw him to the wolves. I'm like, all right, you're going to present the strategy to the CEO. Gave a little bit of direction, but he crushed it. He sat basically with the officer team. He presented it, got the thumbs up, and we executed. And then just casual conversation, having dinner that night, I'm talking to him about, man, I want to create kind of this really cool playbook, just leadership playbook. And we were just kicking around some ideas. Fast forward like a year later, I get sent to me in the mail a book that he created that was like a playbook. So he created his own version, and he's just so quick to execute, taking an idea.
There it is.
There it is, putting it together and executing and bringing it to life. And it's just amazing. So really impressed by that. Hey, Demetri, so obviously your grandfather, who else influenced you and just who you are today? Who are those mentors? Who are those people that were really important to you in your life and developing you to who you are today?
You don't have to say Billy if you really don't.
We already know that's a given.
Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah.
well, let's just say it,
Why
Bill.
are you not on that list?
Well, continuing on, Billy for sure.
Well,
Okay, I'm gonna give some people. So I mean, I can give you the name and the why. So Bobby Klinkert, who taught me like leadership and like what it means to like go boy to man, right? It was like I was just learning how to even just build social skills at that point, right? I mean, I didn't have an insane amount of friends at school, but like that was when I was like starting to push myself. Like I started interning at the church, and so I was really under his wing. Who else? Definitely John Ross. Like that's kind of like a big brother. He's a mentor turned into the best man of my wedding, which is pretty cool. Again, he's the same person that offered me the opportunity to produce that TV pilot that one of his clients wanted to do. Um, Definitely my grandfather. I mean, I think of his story and how he grew up in um, literally middle of nowhere Arkansas in a shack and became the valedictorian of his high school. Like got out and went to the military and then worked in the government for 30 plus years, retired in the 90s, then decided to work another 10 years as a government. So I'm like, okay, like that requires a level of grit and discipline and drive that, you just have to, it has to be in your own internal dialogue, right? Because you can't free a mind of anxiety, right? I'm sure just knowing his story, like he had so much, specifically because you're up in the South, right? Like he had to push past adversity in ways I probably can't comprehend. And then I'd say definitely uh, this individual, his name is Rod Mogrim. When I was in the early stages, this was before I really had gone all in um, on the entrepreneurship thing. I had a friend that moved to Los Angeles, ended up going out and visiting him, and he had gone to this again. Everything's somehow connected to church, but he was going to a church called Mosaic Church, Erwin McManus's church in Los Angeles. And Rod happened to be there, and at the time he had been working on an app. He had just previously sold his company, so he was just working on a new consumer app. Uh, since has pivoted to something that's really way more successful. But at the time, he was like, "You guys want to go grab dinner after the church service?" And so we said yes. And Tim, me, and Rod, and the whole group of people, we went to go get dinner. And Rod basically asked me the question, like, what do you want to do in life? And I was like, well, I would like to be an entrepreneur. I'd love to do my own thing. And at that time, Rod basically pulled out a napkin and started writing down. I actually still have the napkin, which is super sweet. What I would need to consider in the process of building a business, which I still have the initial picture of the napkin. And he wrote
Nice.
this down.
Yeah.
Um, the whole process of like a go-to-market funnel, like how do you actually build the product? And this is all sitting at a restaurant, like everybody else is having their side conversation, and he zoned in on me as like, let me thank me later when you exit your first temp. That's what he said. And so that
That's
napkin
really
has
cool.
certainly helped me in my journey, and I give him a lot of credit. Yeah. So that would be the two,
So D,
the few people.
yeah. So as you look at a lot of times on the podcast, we talk about mentors that we've had in the past to get us where we're at, which sounds like you've
Yeah.
got several that have made a huge impact to you. Now fast forwarding, you've had a lot of experiences being an entrepreneur, and the change that you must be facing every day has got to be intense. Where do you look next? Are you proactive about who can kind of help you in your current stage? Where you're at currently, to kind of pick and intelligently select, whether that's through church or not. It probably will be, but we rarely talk about who we need to go grab next to help you in this case through your next evolution. But if you're the
Yeah.
listener out there, I'm just trying to figure out what that mental state looks like to pick who's next, and what that thought process looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I part of the way I'm going at judgment is really not looking at the fruit of their financial success, right? Because at the end of the day, everything that you see can be replicated, right? And so if somebody was really wanting to replicate your career path and they just were so focused on it, somebody could do what you're doing at some point, right? But I think for me, it's a little bit of a deeper discussion because I'm really looking for um, what is their priority, right? And like I've said it before, I've said it again, the greatest tragedy is being successful at everything that doesn't matter. So when I'm looking for a mentor, I'm looking to see if like, is their marriage on point? Is there, like I want to get healthier, right? So I want to see if they care about their health, and they might even have a background of faith, right? It's like I think the core values thing is super important, the moral compass, right? It's like what is governing their mind? Is it the world and their flesh, or is it a heart that's rooted in love and something bigger? Um, so while that's a
I like
complex
it.
answer, I'm really trying to say that yes, looking for somebody that's literally doing exactly what I'm doing, but it's not like I'm going to get on a call with somebody that is absent from their personal life. So I think that's like a really big sign because you can glorify the what you see on the outside, but the inside matters more. So
Good guide.
Yeah, it's really good. So Demetri, in your world, obviously you still have a boss, even though you're your own boss, right? Your clients, you have to work with people.
Your wife.
Your wife for sure. Will you just share a little bit about some of the challenges you've had, because you didn't really have like official sales training, like you just went out and figured things out for yourself, but obviously you had to sell your ideas, you have to sell yourself with whatever you're doing. What were some of your early learnings, and maybe some of the bigger challenges, and how'd you figure out how to fight through those?
Yeah, I think early on, it's incredibly important to like, yeah, you're right. I didn't have any formal sales training. Like I've never, I've had to figure this out as I've gone. But what I've come to understand, especially as somebody that's not like I don't call myself a sales guy, right? I think it's incredibly important to demonstrate confidence. It's incredibly important to know how to communicate the value of your product, right? It's easy to just talk features and whatnot, but you really gotta take a step back and understand who you're working with, right? And so, in a lot of ways, it's reverse psychology that I've had to learn in this process of really digging into whoever's across the table. Is like I got to understand them, otherwise I'm doing them a disservice, and at the end of the day, they're not going to be happy with what they end up with, right? And so, just learning how to ask good questions, right? And something I didn't mention is early on, I had an actual podcast called Interviewing Influencers. This is what I was doing in college. I was just getting on, like, I had a podcast where I was just talking to people that I thought were doing something unique. And so that allowed me to translate that into these customer conversations where it's like, I got to know everything about them. One, I want to know if they're crazy, but two, I want to know if like we can actually get the work done and bring the value that they're looking for. So um, yeah, I think it's just taught me a lot about people and the way they're wired. Right? Everybody cares about themselves at the end of the day. Is the reality of
Yeah.
at
Philly
least business
especially.
specifically.
So it's so true, Scott. So Demetri, talk a little bit about you've been very creative to go drive partnerships. And you've done some unique things overseas, all these different projects. Just maybe talk a little bit about your algorithm of how you, I guess, what's your criteria, how you decide who you're going to work with for which projects, and how do you coordinate all that? Because you got a lot of different people supporting you, but most
Yeah,
of them are 1099. Yep.
yeah, and I think that's a fantastic way to do what I've been doing, which just to be clear, the business that I've been operating for multiple years is called More. Uh, really positioned as like a digital agency, going through the transformation of what they need to do to uh, have the infrastructure to support what their goals are and to grow and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what we do. But um, to 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 deliver on that, it's been a really uh, great, not so great. Working with contractors is not for everybody, but specifically in our business, right? It's a matter of like unit economics, right? We don't want to spend more than is necessary to deliver, right? Because we want to maximize our own, the shareholder value is essentially me as the owner. But um, yeah, we've utilized different platforms to find people, and uh, whether that's software developers, media buyers, designers, web designers, video editors, right? Even so much as finding project managers and individuals that can actually lead the client experience. I've found success in getting individuals overseas that they're able to obviously speak English, but actually take over some of the heavy lift that managing multiple clients is on a business owner. So um, that's been a big part of the journey, is leveraging lower cost talent to deliver on all the different stuff I'm doing. So the client side of stuff, definitely. I mean, if you're not, you're potentially losing money on things that are not that serious, right? And so video editors specifically will hire people in the Philippines, Indonesia, right? It doesn't matter. If the job can get done, we're going to go there. Um, but then
But
for the
that's what I've
creative
been so
projects,
impressed with.
oh, you go. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. We have a little delay, but I just say I'm so impressed because you figured out, with really, you obviously have your education, you've had different internships, you've been doing some startup companies or experiences since you're in high school, but ultimately you've figured out how you have to go sell and position yourself, your technology, your business. You have to be operational. You have to run your finances. You got to be able to collaborate with everyone. So you're leading. So you're getting every skill, right? That's under the roof. And I think that's so incredible at such a young age. So maybe just talk a little bit about how that business has now morphed into your latest kind of focus is app creation powered by
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Do you mind jumping into the creation of Quota, which will impact our audience in a positive way?
Yeah. So it's probably April 2023 when I started to get the bug. At the time, we were working with several clients. Um, in my head, I just knew just from the mentors that I had, uh, software is, a better vehicle long term. And so, essentially in my free time, I've been building software, outside of the agency work I've been doing. And so the initial platform that is on the market, but not necessarily something that we've been pushing is Incipia, right? And so it's essentially a, OKR, so objectives, key results, and then like a performance management software for executives. So not necessarily like a ClickUp, not a Monday.com, but more for an executive dashboard to like see at a high level the progression of different big goals that your company might have, and then to connect the dots to the individual employees that are contributing, up the chain to those bigger objectives. And so
Which
that's
I've
one
piloted.
platform.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Works really well. Yep.
Um, and so that has taken about 2 years to build, which is a long time. And we built it in a way that is sustainable. We might even, eventually try to go out and bring it to market and sell it. But that was experimentation, right? To see what it takes, right? And then moving forward, have experimented to the point where instead of 2 years, we've been able to complete an app in 2 months. And so my fundamental thesis is that AI has collapsed the value of execution, right? And so this is the prime time to get into the place where the ideas are brewing, because you can really create anything you want. And so um the for the longest time I had wanted to uh, create something that was a consumer app, something that could be in the palm of somebody's hands, something they can use daily. And especially just working with a bunch of people, right? Managing contractors and managing clients. I realized a lot of people just genuinely suck at communication, and they're not even like trying to suck. It's just inherently it's just, there's principles that they lack, right? And I could say the same about myself, right? I think there's always room to be a better communicator, show up better.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
wanted to create a tool that essentially could allow you to rehearse conversations, to actually build up like the social intelligence to be able to be in high pressure environments, to be able to handle moments, right? And the reason for a consumer app like that, which that's what I was able to create in 2 months, is because I've had to figure it out on my own. And so to give somebody a tool that can actually be their co-pilot as they go about leveling up their social life, career, or personal, I think is really exciting. So that's kind of what's next.
So the quick question for you, as these folks get their first internship, maybe spend their first year, in their first real job, could be an entrepreneur, could be working for a big firm. What advice around AI? Like Billy makes fun of me. I want to do is talk about AI because I'm convinced it's all that matters, and both good and bad, right? But a lot of these folks coming out of college, I don't know if there's AI classes quite yet, but they're certainly available outside of school. But what advice would you give our listeners on just the basics, like really start really basic? As far as your ability to build software quickly, you seem like a natural. a lot of these folks coming out of college are not naturals. What's a good baseline advice that you'd give around AI and understanding it? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I guess, is this just for somebody that just is going into a career? They're not really trying to start a business. Is that right?
Correct. Yep, exactly.
Well, I think in any setting, there's going to be painful, expensive problems. Uh, and if you're able to do the observation work to really be tuned into what your team might be experiencing, you're likely going to be on a team when you start out, right? But get in touch with your manager, like understand what problems they're trying to solve, and then find a solution, right? And then use AI to deliver on it better, like faster, cheaper, right? Like figure out where there's like um, something that can be changed. But I think the reason why most people lose is because they are approaching that completely backwards. They're looking for the tools that, that might help them. And then they start to look for the problems. And it's like, well, you're just going to create noise and that's not going to do anything. Right. And then fundamentally, you might create something or suggest something that your company's not even going to use. Right. So it's like, if you're going to um, leverage AI to increase the experience of your team, like you got to start with the thing that's hard, right? And it could be, if you're in sales, like prospecting, like you could set up a quad co-work workflow where you go into, or it's dispatch, but quad co-work where you can have it go into your email and prospect, draft the initial email to the customers you might want to work with. Like, sure, you might have access to a database like Apollo or Seamless, whatever you're using to get your leads, but like figure out like the data is out there, right? So like again, you can create like a scheduled workflows to make your life easier. And so then you could start to actually think about the expensive problems. Because I think right now, a lot of individuals in their early career, they are button pushers. And unfortunately, if you look at the data, like button pushers are the ones that are getting laid off because that's not actually solving real problems. And so um, that's kind of my thesis. So.
I think it's important to just in addition to what you're saying, that what I found early with our use of AI is that you still have to use your own brain, right? Use it to help you prepare for a big meeting, go get, the information. You can get anything to support a position, but make sure you're also leveraging AI to get the counter position, and you get both. That way you're looking at both, and then you use critical thinking to decide how you really want to serve this information up and what you're going to do with it. And I think we found that when you're using AI connected with human and collaboration with human, so using it with leadership team to debate topics, has been really effective at coming up with ways to drive, more efficiency, whether it's within a sales process or, a deck, a presentation, just an overview of your product, whatever it may be. It's just helping you simplify and drive more focus, but also empowering you to make faster decisions. So there's a lot of ways you can use it in any job, but it's just learning it and getting more comfortable with your prompts and how you're engaging with it. And Scott and I are laughing, 2 months ago, we were using it like a super Google. And we've just learned a lot more. We've been taking online classes. We've been doing more things just to educate ourselves and realizing it's collaborative, it's more conversational, and you treat it like you're talking to a peer. And it's amazing what you can learn and do with it. So I think that's important. Hey, will you talk specifically about Quota
Yeah.
and maybe the inspiration to start Quota? I actually used it and I thought it was amazing. And so maybe just give our audience a brief overview of that app.
Yeah, absolutely. Quota is the daily app that's going to help you sharpen how you speak, how you get perform. Really, it's going to help you level up your social skills, right? And all the moments that matter, right? And that could be sales, that could be job interviews, that could be small talk, that could be negotiating, learning how to actually show up in a way that's going to be meaningful and resonate. And so, really, let's just kind of explain it. Quota is going to throw you into an environment where it's going to tee up the environment, tee up like the scenario, which, for an example, you might be wanting to discuss with your boss a relocation package, right? And you're just like, hey, I can't, afford to use my own funds. Like, can you guys pay for this, right? Um, you've got to have the conversation, and so you're gonna press start role play, and you're gonna be talking to your boss, right? You can choose a female voice or a male voice. Either way, it's not going to finish until you're not going to finish it until you reach the sentiment of the discussion. So like you're sparring with AI until uh you've completed the objective of whatever it is, which typically involves getting someone to see your perspective, or seeing somebody else's perspective and learning how to empathize and to be present in different moments. And so again, like, yeah, like a real AI voice. And then there's the ability to go into self-paced, we call it journeys, which are essentially like Duolingo, right? You're going to answer some quizzes. You're going to like go back and forth and be able to see just different stuff that you might have not explored within just the realm of communication. That kind of at its core is what
That's
Quota
awesome.
is. So
And you can get graded. It's pretty cool. So you can do sales role plays. You can set up the scenario.
exactly, yeah, and yeah, you can create your own custom scenarios, um, and then be able to actually see your progress over time. So like it's going to track your filler words. Maybe you say um all the time. It's going to tell you like, hey, you got to stop saying so much, right?
It'll
Which
tell you.
is it'll tell you.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the simplicity of it, right? And again, it's really the 5 minutes a day is what's going to improve
D,
your social
I got a
intelligence.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So, D, your vision for this type of technology with the advent of chat, Claude, Gemini, pick your favorite. I was with my brother recently and he's having these conversations with chat and it's all audio. When you look at something that you're talking about, general use, are you looking to go into a specific niche, or how do you differentiate, or how do you think about differentiation when it comes to Quota?
Yeah, I would say it's really a different lane than what I've been doing before, right? I do want to highlight more, which obviously is what's been the breadwinner for the years, but consumer apps, that's kind of the space that it's in. And so uh, from the discovery that I've done and even deciding to do this, there's not many tools out there that you could just go back and forth with on your phone. And so really there's kind of just like white space specifically in the Apple ecosystem for a tool like this, like the Duolingo for social intelligence. So that's kind of the first step. And then um, I think from there, there's opportunity to go the B2B route, which is definitely going to be a part of the roadmap. But for now, it's the consumer space. People want to practice their social skills. They don't want to be awkward, right? That's the simple pain of it. And there's millions and millions of awkward people in the world that, or just people that just don't know how to navigate certain
I'm sitting next to one of them,
conversations.
Steve.
So, hey, Dimitri, so one thing that I love about what he's created too is you can customize this. So if I wanted to roll this out to the sales organization, so people are practicing and and even whether you want leadership to have visibility to it or not, or just for them to sharpen the axe, it's such an important tool in my opinion. And I think Scotty, you guys are using something similar
Yeah.
where you're at. So I'd love to hear your take on that. But it's so funny because whenever I talk to our sales trainers or address new hire training classes in our profession, right? You look at a professional golfer, they're spending so much time at the range, on the putting green, chipping, just they practice their craft all the time. They love it, they're passionate, but they're always practicing.
Sure.
And for some reason in our profession, once you kind of figure it out and you get experience, a lot of people just wing it. And I've always been such a fan of simplifying, the foundational elements of success in sales, which I define as preparation, execution, and follow up. If you boil it down to those three things, it's so easy. Then you have to do them really well. But you got to practice and you got to put effort forward. And so no one loves role playing. It's like the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But if you can get comfortable and good at doing it with your peers, you're so much better in front of a customer. And that's what I love about your app is you could be doing it in the car, you could be doing it at home, and it just really helps you practice to get more confidence.
Yeah, and I mean that really is it. Like, you know how many sales calls I've butchered, right? And so it's like, how do you actually practice when the stakes are low? Like, you gotta call a mentor, you gotta inconvenience a friend, you have to have another person, and that's just not, or you have to hire a coach, right? It's just like you don't need to do that, right? This is kind of what I'm talking about with like the AI piece, right? Like, everything's getting compressed. So like these things that are tied to execution, like, it's gonna become very narrow to these kind of tools. And so just wanted to be on the
Yeah.
forefront of something that I
My
believe in.
two
And I
cents,
think,
D. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love the concept. I think about differentiation a lot, about whatever people are talking about. But I think the key when I hear you talking about this type of application is safe place, like safe space, safe place. Because since COVID, not a lot of people are in the office together. And I think the art of working on your craft, being a student of the game has suffered because of that. And now it's all about how many Zooms can you get onto a day. I don't know what your day looks like, Billy, but we talk enough to
Oof.
understand it's probably 10, no lie, 10 minimum Zooms a day. So where do you fit in on working on your craft? And where can that space be safe enough where you're actually not going to, you know, back in my day, and I hate to sound like that, it was stand and deliver in front of an audience of your peers, which is terrifying. And I know there's a B2C aspect to what you're doing first, D, but the B2B is where Billy and I are like, we need this bad within our organizations. And by the way, I need it badly myself, right? Because if you're on 10 Zooms talking about forecast, Billy, when do you have time to become, that student that
Right.
you want to be in front of the customer, right? Where your folks are going to learn from you. So I love the application. Really excited to hear more about it in the future.
yeah, it's well, currently on the App Store. We are going to be pushing it pretty heavy with different UGC strategies and distribution. And so similar app in our space. Again, I've had this app for quite a while, but there was a similar app that was dormant, just like this one. Within 30 days, $100,000 a month. So the rapid pace of scale for something like this is pretty surreal. And so my intention is to embrace that same level of
Yeah,
success
that's
with
great.
something like this. So
Well, the good news, we're going to have Demetri always part of the show, so we'll get updates as we go, and obviously as you continue to develop new tools, especially for our audience of sales, world of sales and sales leadership. We're going to want to hear about those and get those pushed out. Obviously, I've used it. I love it. So check it out. Quota. It's in the App Store. And Demetri, maybe just some parting words. Any advice you have for our audience, just getting started in their careers or early on in career?
yeah, I think the most important thing that you can do is to understand that, there's a level of suffering that you're going to have to go through. It sounds really bad, but like, there's a level of suffering and essentially dying to your old ways, where you're going to learn new things. You're going to have to embrace new belief systems. You're going to have to reinvent yourself to be great, I think. And so, in that process, it's important to give yourself grace, but you got to put in the work. And if you're not willing to put in the work, you just got to accept average. Um, but I think it's to allow yourself to be moldable and to embrace that challenges are going to come, and it's up to you to decide what you're going to do in the midst of that. And again, that we could be speaking to a deal falling through, layoffs. Somebody might get laid off in their organization because a business decides to cut stuff, right? You've got to have the internal dialogue to be able to still operate with a sense of dignity, with a sense of drive, and to know that it's going to work out if you just don't give up.
That's great advice. Great
Yeah.
advice. I've learned a lot more from my failures than successes, and there's been a lot.
Yep.
The last thing I'll add is just belief in yourself, and that's something I see with you. You have a lot of confidence. I love it. You believe in yourself. You've got your faith. You've got something to be purposeful in your life, and you're doing a great job. So, we love working with you. Love having you around. Appreciate you sharing your words
Shout
of
out
wisdom
you
today,
gotta
and
have
check
the
out Quota,
wife
and we'll have Demetri back.
and the wife.
That's
Let's
right.
go. Anyways, let's go. Amazing. Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate
Now
it.
we're talking about significance over success, right? With those pictures, but we all know there's the stronger party on the other side. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
D, thanks. Appreciate your wisdom and taking time with us today.
Go ahead. Appreciate you guys.